we saw a big influx come tax time. Everybody got their refund check and wanted to go party. We saw a decline when that wasn't there. With the corporate work, that's more steady and solid and consistent.
So I know in your previous roles, Jacob, you worked at a company that had party buses, right? And so tell me, why didn't you go that route? Or did you ever own one? Like a limo style seating bus?
Never did. So there's definitely a market for that. But that clientele is not what I wanted to get interested in, right? So there's a lot more cleanup involved on the party style trips. There's a lot more cleanups involved. There's a lot more unknown with what types of passengers you're gonna get. The trips and the demographics will dictate what your clientele is, and that's just not something that really interested me. What interests me is the corporate clients who they may be in the bus. You'll book a 4 or 5 hour charter. They may be in the bus 45 minutes, 25 minutes one way, 20 minutes the other way. A lot less maintenance, a lot less cleaning, a lot less damage. Just kind of the reason I chose that route. And the other part of that is, I found, obviously working for that other company, they were more retail heavy or party end user being the one that books it. That tails off with the market. We saw a big influx come tax time. Everybody got their refund check and wanted to go party. We saw a decline when that wasn't there. With the corporate work, that's more steady and solid and consistent.
So for a while there, I used to wonder why anyone would really get into party buses, because I just thought from a marketing standpoint, it didn't make a lot of sense, because it seemed like everyone wanted the same days, right? And you only have so many, if your ability to grow is just limited to how many. Well, you could say that for anything, how many buses you have, but it's really a thing with party buses, right? Because or any limo style bus, right? Everyone wants the same Saturday or something like that.
Absolutely. And I watched that episode with Kyle out of Denver there, and I really appreciated what he was saying. And with the party buses, you're only limited by what you can do, right? You've got to get really creative. There's definitely a market. There's definitely a market there for, weddings, quinceañeras, proms, homecomings, things like that. There's definitely a market, but you have to be creative on how you market it. And Mark, I've said this 1,000 times, you have to know your cost, right? So does it make sense or does it not? Are you party bus heavy or are you not? And if you can't figure that out, it's going to eat you up. You're going to get eaten alive.
Yeah. And I think that's, I'm guessing once you get it to a certain scale, most operators know their numbers pretty well. But I think that for a lot of smaller operators, that's probably the case where they don't really know their numbers. And when I say that, to be clear, I'm kind of talking about there's your overhead, right? Which is what? Insurance. If you're doing marketing, if you're doing
any fixed cost.
Yeah. Any fixed cost.
And
I think we have our first call in here. Let me just see who this is. Cool. We're doing it the old school way. Hey, how's it going? So, you're live with me and Jacob. Who am I speaking with?
This is Kyle. Sorry.
Oh, what's up, Kyle?
There
hey, speaking of the devil, how's it going, man?
Oh, it's going well. Sorry, my YouTube timed out, and I saw that you said call in, and I was thinking that we were moving it to the phone conversation. But I'm interested in listening to you guys. This is awesome. Thank you.
Yeah, no, for sure. Look, so just real quick before you hop off, because I'm curious, I wanted to ask you this. So on Kyle's episode, he mentioned he started, transitioning to regular buses, right? Or that's been your last two purchases, Kyle? Okay. And what would you say, mate? Because I was talking to a client in Orange County, LA, yesterday who does party bus. I want to connect you guys. And I mentioned the thing where you book, your perimeter seating buses. You try to book them during the week if because you can do it at a discount. Would you say, if you had to pick one or the other, what made a bigger difference, that or your strategy with like doing the whole packages thing? Obviously there's no reason not to do them both, but if you had to pick one of those.
I think the biggest difference maker overall is being able to be creative and flexible and sell well to the customer. So I think, transitioning them from a forward-facing bus to a perimeter seating made the most difference for my fleet utilization, which at the end of the day makes the most difference for like my revenue and profit. But I think Jacob's totally right, about transitioning to corporate clients as opposed to like the retail, clients. It makes a whole lot of sense if you can do both, or at least the corporate clients. But the party bus, type of folks, they're going to be harder to manage from like a revenue standpoint, just because they're fickle, to say the least. So.
Got it. And my bad. I know I might have caught you where you're doing something else and you were just listening. I was like, call in. So no worries if you have to hop off here. But yeah, no, I kind of figured it was going to be that fleet utilization because I'm just curious, like what percentage would you say? And I'm sure a lot of it is just doing like the needs assessment and how you handle the call. But what percentage would you say, when you're discounting it, let's say 20, probably even, you couldn't even do probably 30% and it would still make sense, right? Because if you figure, if your overhead, meaning like your marketing, all the other stuff that like you pay that every month regardless, if that is, let's say 30%, right? Then really, even if you discounted it by 30%, you would still be making approximately the same, because there's no opportunity cost, right? On Monday or Tuesday, those buses are going to be sitting, right?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I mean, you do need to know your numbers to a certain extent, right? Like you don't want to, you have to have like your hand on the pulse of how your company's doing. Like, have you covered your monthly bills? Have you taken care of all the fixed costs and that kind of thing? And that will influence, the discounts that you're willing or even can give. But certainly, like in the thick of the busy season, especially for our retail clients in the middle of the summer, 30% is really not a big deal if I can get 2 or 3 buses out on a Wednesday. And those corporate clients, generally they are bigger. So my fleet utilization, as opposed to sending out, one, 34 passenger bus. If mine's already booked, I can send out 2 14s or something like that, get 2 drivers driving, offer them a 30% discount or whatever. It's the numbers tend to work out the more I can get those buses out. So that's really the goal, I would say, and all that.
No, I freaking love that. Did you ever do that, Jacob? I'm curious. Like at your previous company that owned the perimeter style buses?
Yeah, if we get any chance we got to get them out, we did. But Kyle would I think agree with me on this one. Is the other aspect of this is the driver mentality. It's a complete different mentality for those type of party bus drivers, right? So those guys have to be willing to understand the loud music. They have to be able to work at night, odd hours, and believe it or not, that could make or break or kill your party style business, right? Because the people are buying the experience, not just the vehicle, or renting the experience, not the vehicle. So that's a big aspect too. And if you're not set up for that, or don't have, I mean, I could sit in a party bus seat, doesn't mean I'm a party bus driver. You have to have that mentality or that mindset.
Interesting. I didn't know that would play that big of a role.
In my experience, it's a huge role. So, to answer that question, if you could get those out during the day, you had a better possibility sending them out as corporate vehicles, because everybody's happy during the day. It's point A to point B, typically, a dinner, an event, something like that, and back. It's not bouncing all over from place to place with people that can't make up their minds.
Interesting. Kyle, what? Oh, okay. So you kind of have to, do maybe slightly different training for party bus type operator, or for a operator or a driver who's used to, or chauffeur used to doing party buses versus charter style. Then is there like a different training they usually go through, or
I definitely agree with Jacob on that. I think from my perspective, it was always like transitioning a driver that's more accustomed to the party bus thing, the late night thing. I think that's an easier transition to go to corporate than it was to take like a driver who had, you know, traditionally worked as like a you know, black car or some kind of executive shuttle company, and transition them to a party bus driver. That's a much harder shift, I think, like mentally and just like with the things that you have to put up with. And so, yeah, I agree with Jacob 100%.
that actually just intuitively makes a lot of sense, right? You go from like this buckled up sort of where no one's drunk to finding God knows what in your bus, you know?
Yeah. And if you know, Mark, if you just put anybody in those, you know, going back to when I was, if I didn't have a party bus driver or someone that I felt comfortable with driving it, you know, sorry, we don't have the availability, because that could really make or break. You know, you're already given the 30% discount, and then the driver goes out and makes a boneheaded move. Now your discount's 60%, and between fuel, payroll, and whatever else, you've made nothing, right? So, it really does play a part.
Totally. If you found this valuable, please subscribe to the channel, give it a thumbs up. I'll see you on the next video.